Welcome to On Web Marketing, your key to the world of digital marketing techniques, web online strategy, search engine marketing, search engine optimization, and social media, with conversations and tips from the world's leading practitioners. You can access related resources, recommended reading, special offers, and more when you visit the On Web Marketing Resource Center at informit.com/webmarketingcenter.
But how is Facebook able to do this? Why is it changing our relationships and these expectations? Well, what Facebook did that was really important was it invented new modes of communication, like the Facebook wall post, like a Facebook message. Similarly with Twitter, a tweet. That notion, that mode of communication didn't exist before. Or Facebook poke. I mean, no one really knows what that is. And what happens when you have more casual modes of communication is that you're allowed, or you're enabled to keep in touch with more people. Just like when we went from in-person relationships to the phone, your network expanded. And when you had your phone to email, your network expanded because the cost of staying in touch went down. Again, now with Facebook, because of these casual modes of communication, the cost of staying in touch is even lower. And so as a result, we're expanding our networks, especially on the fringe, especially weak-tie relationships. And as all of you know, business research shows that the greatest social capital happens on the fringe. It's not typically your mother or your best friend that you're doing business deals with or that you're selling with. It's your friend-of-friend networks. It's your weak ties. And by uncovering things like the relationship between Nate and Sunil and myself, we're able to have more information and connect the dots and be more efficient in maximizing our personal social capital across all of our business dealings. But not only is it more casual, email was more casual, but we lost a sense of emotional connection when we didn't hear someone's voice or when we didn't see someone face to face. Facebook reverses that. It's both more casual and more emotional. Why? Because of the trusted online identity. When Nate receives a Facebook message from me, he can see who I am. He can click through to my profile. He sees my picture. He sees where I'm from. He sees what my favorite TV shows are. And he sees who we know in common. That's a really emotional experience. He's going to think twice before ignoring my Facebook message because he sees that we know 30 people in common and that, oh, by the way, we're both from Chicago. And it seems trivial, but these are the kinds of connections, the common ground that salespeople have been using for decades, for centuries, to establish connections with their clients and with prospects to get their foot in the door. And Facebook just makes it that much easier. And so you think about social capital, and you think about the people that you meet and have a temporary connection with at a conference or in business school or at a summer camp. And you think about how many people have come and gone from your life and how that changes once you have Facebook. Once the cost of staying in touch goes down, it becomes socially acceptable to keep in touch with more people. And so I may have met Sunil just a couple times. And before we exchanged business cards, if we didn't have something to talk about right away, it might be a little awkward for us to email. I'd say, hey, nice meeting you at this conference last week. And then I'd forget about him. He'd probably forget about me. But what Facebook does is it creates a CRM database where you create an option that you have the option but not the obligation to exercise later on. So Sunil and I become Facebook friends, or I end up following Sunil on Twitter. And maybe 10 years down the road, I find that we're living in the same city. Or I need to sell a product into a company where he's an employee. And now all of a sudden, that option becomes attractive for me to exercise. And I'm not trying to use him, it's just we both happen to be, our situations have changed. And if you think about, too, at an extreme level, kids who are joining Facebook, like my friend's little brother, he's 13 and joined Facebook last summer It's the minimum age for joining Facebook. He proceeded to add every single person that he'd ever gone to school with or summer camp with. Arguably, that can be a good or bad thing. A lot of us like to reinvent during adolescence. And maybe he'll defriend some people during that process. But imagine now that he can capture his the entire long tail of people that he's met throughout a lifetime. And say 30 years from now, he ends up as the VP of sales at a company. And that boy that he used to play soccer with in 6th grade happens to be a prospective client. He's going to reference that. He's going to mention that. And it seems like a trivial connection, but sales are done on the basis of connections like this all the time. It's the fabric of trust and relationships and the notion of going way back with someone. And Facebook is changing that. It's making it more efficient. And so as I realized in the noodle shop with my grandmother and back at the Facebook Developer Conference, is that Facebook is CRM. But it's even better than CRM because in addition to being able to access information about people, you can search. So you move to a new city, you're looking for a job at a particular company, you can search your LinkedIn database, your Facebook database, and see who you know there. Because we all know whenever you apply for a job, it helps to know someone at the company. It gives you reminders, excuses to stay in touch, things like a birthday reminder or the news feeds telling you that someone has just gotten engaged or that someone has just had a baby. Maybe you're not close enough with them for them to have actively told you this. But because of Facebook and because of the interaction modes they've created, you're able to still connect with the person and are given reasons to stay in touch. And then last but not least, Facebook is bidirectional CRM. So before, I'd have information about you that I might buy from a list, or I'd scan your badge at a trade show, or you'd fill out a web form. But now, you can see information about me too. And the sales rep also becomes a person behind the name. And that's a really powerful notion in terms of thinking about sales and building trust. So a lot of these concepts, I guess I stumbled upon accidentally when I created Face Connector. Because certainly, I think we all experience and enjoy Facebook very viscerally. But because it's so new, we haven't really been able to articulate what's going on. And until we come up with a language together to talk about these things with concepts like transitive trust and online identity, it's hard for us to be strategic about how we would use Facebook in a business context. So Face Connector, and I'll show you a quick demo, is an integration between Facebook and Salesforce. What it does is it pulls Facebook profile and friend information into Salesforce account lead and contact records. So here what I've done is I have all this traditional information, and I apologize for picking on you, Sunil. But I have this traditional CRM information up here that, again, I get from a trade show, or I get from a web lead form, or I buy from a list. But now I have the opportunity to augment that with the individual's Facebook profile. And again, it's depending on whether we're friends. It just depends on whether we're in the same networks, what his privacy settings are. But in this case, it happens to be that I have access to certain aspects of his profile that he's chosen to share. And I, in fact, want to link my contact record to Sunil, such that every time I go back to this record, or anyone in my company goes back to this record who has access to Sunil, that they're able to not only see the static information, not only the name and the title, but the person. And so I may be a sales rep with thousands of contacts or thousands of leads that I'm trying to manage. It can be incredibly frustrating, like not having an internet connection. And so I might not be able to show you the demo. But the idea is that now I can see aspects of Sunil's profile. And I can see things like we both used to work at Microsoft, or we're both from North Carolina, and we both know Nate in common. And instead of having to cold call Sunil and not have him call me back, or for him to treat my email like spam, now he has context for understanding who I am, and I have context for understanding who he is.
Thanks for podcasting with us. Remember to visit the On-Web Marketing Resource Center, where you can access recommended reading, special offers, and more at informit.com/webmarketingcenter. Be sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single episode. Brought to you by Inform IT, the trusted technology learning source.